Hi, it's Nick from the Run Testers. In this video, we're going to be comparing the original Nike Alphafly NEXT to the Nike Alphafly NEXT 2. This video is brought to you in partnership with Precision Fueling and Hydration. Now, the Alphafly is obviously a top-class long-distance racing shoe, but you're not going to perform at your best in those longer races if you're not fueling correctly. Precision Fueling and Hydration has just launched a new energy gel that contains 30 grams of carbs and 100 milligrams of caffeine. Now, caffeine is an established way to improve your performance, and it actually can help reduce your perceived rate of exertion during those endurance activities, which is actually exactly what I found the Alphafly to do on long runs myself. Check out the new caffeine gel on the Precision Fueling and Hydration website, and while you're there you can use the carb calculator tool to work out your fueling needs for your longer events. Use the code RT15 to get 15% off the entire range, which I can load more details down in the video description below. So the Alphafly is Nike's kind of top dog marathon racing shoe in particular, although it can be used for all events. The original Alphafly obviously came out to much fanfare after Eliud Kipchoge used a prototype of it to run the first ever sub-2 marathon. And now the Alphafly 2 launches today to replace it and kind of sit in Nike's range on top of things like the Vaporfly and the Streetfly, which they're positioning more as kind of shorter distance racing shoes now, whereas the Alphafly as their marathon racer. In terms of how the key stats of the shoe have differed, the weight has gone up with the new version of the shoe. This is my UK size 9. It weighs 244 grams or 8.6 ounces. That's on one side. The other shoe actually weighs 251 grams, and Nike lists a UK 9, a US 10 at 249 grams. So it's somewhere around there. But all of those weights are a little bit higher than the original Alphafly, which was 232 grams in my size. Although I do actually think some of the later colorways they launched of the original Alphafly actually came in even lighter than that. So yeah, you are getting a bit of a weight gain with the new shoe. Also getting a different drop according to Nike. They've told me that the Alphafly 2 is an 8mm drop from heel to toe, whereas the Alphafly 1 is listed at 4mm. Now, I say listed as because I always found running in the Alphafly 1 that didn't really feel like a 4mm drop shoe, so the actual rifle doesn't change that much in terms of drop for me, but yeah, that's the listing you've got there, 8mm. The price of the original Alphafly, it started at £259.95 in the UK and $275 in the US. Some colours were more than that, like special editions and that kind of thing. Nike has not confirmed the price of the new Alphafly 2 to us ahead of this kind of embargo, but we're going to assume it's the same, but we'll write in the comment below if there's any differences in price between the two shoes. In terms of the changes to the shoe, they start with the upper. So the original Alphafly had an atom knit, kind of structured knit upper that was very lightweight, but did hold the foot quite well. Nike's redesigned it a little bit for the Alphafly 2. This is now atom knit 2.0, which has a fair bit more support around the heel in particular than on the original shoe, just trying to hug the foot and hold it in place firmly. And the toe overlay has been redesigned as well. It's a little bit kind of more breathable, a little bit less restrictive maybe than on the original shoe. But in general, you still got the same kind of booty style fit. You can pull on with these two pull tabs. It's quite hard to get on either shoe, and then it does hug the foot nice and tightly. The midsole has the same ingredients on both shoes, which is to say it's got a load of Zoom X foam, Nike's PEBA based, very bouncy, springy foam, and a full length carbon plate that runs through the shoe. And then you've got two Air Zoom pods on both shoes. Obviously, this is the big difference with the Alphafly to the Vaporfly, having these Air Zoom pods instead of just Zoom X foam, and they create a little bit of a firmer feeling and more pop to your toe off. Now, the Alphafly 2 has a couple of updates compared to the one around the midsole, which starts you're getting a little layer of Zoom X foam under the pod, which wasn't there on the first Alphafly. A little bit more cushioning on the front there, add a little bit more kind of spring to your toe off compared to the first shoe. Also made the shoe wider at the heel, which is one reason it weighs more, is a bit more foam to thicken out the width to create some more stability in the shoe, and the kind of wedge at the back has been reshaped a little bit. Still not entirely sure how much that does, but it's there and it's slightly different now. The outsole is also different on the new shoe. You've got a thinner rubber material which creates a bit of room for the extra foam under the pod, and the outsole pattern has been changed. Both shoes have kind of done okay in the wet for me in my testing, but they're not outstanding on anything other than pretty good flat roads. You've also got a bit more of a cutout to see a bit more of the plate on the new shoe, and it's designed to reduce a little bit of weight as they made these changes to the Alphafly 2, which has beefed it up a little bit, so they cut out a little bit more to try and make sure the weight gain wasn't too extreme. Both versions of the Alphafly have fit me true to size pretty happily. I found the Alphafly 2 was a little bit harder to pull on the first time I used it compared to the Alphafly 1, but both take a little bit of tugging with both those pull tabs. But once they're on, I've had a really great fit with both of them, and I think I do get a little bit kind of more security around the heel with the new shoe. It does hug my foot very nicely, and I've had a very comfortable fit on long runs in it so far, along with a good amount of room in the toe box, all in my normal size. So the original Alphafly has been my go-to marathon and really half marathon racing shoe for the last 18 months. I've run my 2 best marathons in it last year, and a 2:29 and a 2:33 in it, and I've also done a 1:11 half marathon in it. So I love the Alphafly, it's fair to say. I find it has a fantastic ride to it that just really helps you lock into a pace and just roll through those long events in particular and protect the legs so you feel strong at the end. So you just can run your fast times. That's really the point of it, right? Alphafly 2 is, much the same. It's more of the same. It's Alphafly to the max. I feel like it feels even more Alphafly than the original in that you're getting a bit more foam. It feels a little bit even more outlandish on the foot, but and when you're running easy, it does feel a bit big and weird. But once you start going fast, it just feels fantastic. The transition, I think, is a little bit smoother on the new shoe. I think you get a little bit more pop off the front, although it might partly because my Alphafly is a bit old and this is obviously a brand new shoe. But yeah, I do think the transition is a little bit better with this kind of redesigned midsole, and it really does make holding those fast paces feel effortless. I've also only had the shoe for just over a week, kind of 10 days before this embargo, but I've put 82k on it so far. I've done a 20 miler in it, I've done a park run in it, and along with a hard session and another long run with plenty of fast running. And I've done lots of spells where I've been working around marathon pace or quicker. And if you are on a straight road, on a good surface, this just eats up those miles, and it doesn't feel like it's costing you that much to run at that pace. That's really the big thing with the Alphafly. If you just don't think about it, trust it, and go and try and run fast, I think your rate of perceived exertion is lower than it will be in other shoes for the pace you're putting out. And also I noticed on one long run where I chucked in like a 6k stint working at marathon pace in this shoe, like my heart rate was lower as well as my rate of perceived exertion. It just feels like it makes those race paces feel that little bit easier. Like I say, it's got to be in the right conditions though. I think this new shoe, they have beefed up the stability by making the base a bit wider, but it's still not the most stable shoe. And if you are trying to make a dead turn on slightly broken ground or slick asphalt, it's going to be a bit of a problem. You're going to slow down into that turn and then you have to accelerate out of it. Now, it's not going to be a problem in things like marathons and half marathons with just a few turns, but if you're looking at very twisty courses, especially over shorter race distances where you're working a bit quicker, it will cost you a bit of time to use either Alphafly. I don't think the new shoe has improved that to the extent where it makes a significant difference. It's still a tricky shoe to corner in at times, and still an absolutely fabulous shoe on long straights. And I think the new version is just slightly better on those long straights. And even though Nike does pitch these as long distance racing shoes, I found that both of these shoes have been great over shorter races as well. I did run a 5k, I've actually run 2 very windy 5ks actually in the Alphaflys. Like the Alphafly 1, I did a 5k on an airfield. It was just headwind all the way one way and then tailwind the other way. And then the park run I did in the Alphafly 2 this weekend was headwind for 2.5k at like 25 mile an hour headwind. It was brutal. And then turning around tailwind back. But I always find if you go into a headwind for the first half of a race, you're a little bit too tired to really make the most of the tailwind in the second half. But with both shoes, I was able to kick quite strong, and even though they're big shoes, even working into that wind, it just felt like it was helping you power through rather than being a big, obstacle to you because it's so cumbersome and large. So they are both solid short distance shoes as well, and maybe the Alphafly 1 might have a little edge there because it is a bit lighter than the new one, but they're really both about straight distance speed, and that's why I think the Alphafly 2 just shines a little bit more brightly than the original. So there's been little changes made kind of across the board in the Alphafly 2, and I do think they improve the shoe overall. The feel of it's better. I think it's better at helping you maintain fast speed, especially in straight lines. And although the weight has gone up a little bit, it doesn't feel heavy on the foot at all. Like I say, when you're running easy or walking around a bit, it does feel a little bit unnatural and clunky. But as soon as you start running quick and you start getting, purposeful, leaning forward, running hard because you're trying to, run fast, it just feels fantastic. It actually feels quite natural on the foot. And the new shoe, I think, has a slightly improved transition, and it does what the original Alphafly did well, even better. That said, it's not, I don't think, a drastic improvement. It's not like, you're taking a huge leap forward here with this shoe. And it is obviously a very expensive shoe line. So if you're now going to start seeing the Alphafly 1 popping up for £100, £150 even less than the new version, I would be tempted to go and get that because it's still an amazing racing shoe. And the new version, might just have taken things to a slight next level, but you are still going to get fantastic performance out of the original for a little bit less. I think both of them really are shoes that are built for one purpose, which is those straight roads on good surfaces, and that's why they're so good for marathons, where you will find a lot of courses like that, and that's where they both do really excel. But don't be scared of going and running 5k, 10k. They're still amazing 5k, 10k shoes, and actually if you do find a good course that's built to suit their preferences, just a nice look, something like Battersea Park in London, they are still going to be fantastic for that because they are just so quick when you're on a good surface and running mostly straight. But yeah, neither shoe excels over distance. I don't think there's much to pick between them on those distances either, but the original Alphafly is that little bit lighter, which might be preferable for some people. Overall, Alphafly 2, Nike's done a good job of just tweaking the formula across the board to make it a little bit better all round, I think. And it does all the things the Alphafly 1 did well, a little bit better, but you're not getting, a huge leap in performance from the first Alphafly to the second. They're both still great shoes for knocking out those long distance races in particular. That's it guys, that's a comparison of the Alphafly 1 and 2. Please let us know what you think in the comments below. Do like, subscribe, ring the little bell. Go check out our full review of the Alphafly NEXT, a multi-test review of that shoe, and comparisons to the Vaporfly we've got up as well. And yeah, we'll see you next time on the channel.